pohon pandang, and for Murujo village itself named us the mountain people Wong Gunung, and we know that mountain people is really primitive, old-fashioned like that. And at the time, this Watu Semar, there is really like a local wisdom, and the people believe and the myth strong. This is one of their belief here. But Samar does not know the movement because of the long history Samar in the Samborujo village. The villagers there really does not want this Samar, didn't want this Samar to be moved to the city center. So they got like heavy rumors that Basamar itself, the one who connected with assistant Awatu Samar doesn't allow that many mythical rumors come across and they really believe it. Next. This is one thing that I want to emphasize. The head of the village itself say that since Watu Semar moved to the city center, Bojonegoro is one area that near to Bengawan Solo River. There's such a great river, and every year there are flood there, big flood, like 2 or 3 meters drowned the area. But since the movement, the head of the village said that there is no flood again in Bojonegoro like that. And also, like vice versa, in Samborejo, many natural disaster comes to there, like land crack, land shifting, many house damage because of this land cracking. And also in one area in Jari, there are like mud bursts in Lapindo, since the movement of this Semar, and all the people there is really believe this. They're thinking like, I believe the mythical one rather than logical one, something like that. And Watu Semar is really repressing their cultural identity because of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And well, next is Pak Nuriadi. Stage is yours. 5 minutes, Nuriadi.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, giving me second chance as a second speaker. I'm going to present a topic, a very local topic about a figure, one of the very big figure in Lombok, known as Maulana Sheikh, I think.
Change.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Committee. Maulana Sheikh is a very big figure in Lombok Island, because talking about Lombok Island is now as equal as Bali Island, because but Lombok Island also has a very huge potential on tourism. So it seems to me everybody knows about Lombok. Even one of the very popular terms says that you may see Bali in Lombok, but you may never see Lombok in Bali. It means Lombok is better. Well, due to that situation, Lombok needs something like an iconic thing to be known, which is beyond the iconic thing. There is an identity which comprise or includes our pride as a real and indigenous person within Lombok, living in Lombok. So, according to me, Maulana Sheikh is started to be promoted as an icon for this island, especially in Lombok and West Nusa Tenggara province in general. So I myself, in short, I'm going to promote this, frankly speaking. So one of the very popular work belong to Maulana Sheikh is Wasiat Renungan Masa, and this is very intriguing for me to present in front of you, because it is a very unique in terms of literary point of view. So, but before, okay, continue please. But before talking about who Maulana Sheikh and how Wasiat Renungan Masa is, we are going to understand first what is icon. Icon is a term referring to one of signs, like Charles Sanders Peirce says. There are three signs according to him: index, symbol, and icon. Icon is a sign that is placed identical to the real object being represented. And icon can be a person, can be a thing, and icon, according to me, beyond the word icon, there is a certain locality, there is certain identity belongs to local person, local people there. So next is who Maulana Sheikh. Maulana Sheikh is a fame. I told you that he is Tuan Guru. He is the biggest Tuan Guru so far. Because why? Because TGB, I think you know TGB. TGB is his grandson. TGB was very popular. However, now his popularity becomes anti-climax. I do not know why, because I do not know much about politics, but it seems to me that it is closely related to politics. And that is the person. He's a very charismatic. He's very charismatic for Sasa people, especially. The water of their hands, washing water. I mean, can be drunk. Will be drunk by local people there. That shows how charismatic he is, and that is the Maulana Sheikh. Next, please. Now, talking about Wasiat Renungan Masa, if I make translate into advice of new experience era contemplation, the title implies there is a phase, a time difference where Maulana Sheikh himself as the writer has experienced two different eras. That is old era and new era. Old era produces old experience and new era produces new experience. Next, please. Old era refers to the time when he was young and way organization. So Nahdlatul Watan is the biggest Islamic social organization existing in Lombok Island. If in Java there are many Islamic organizations, but the biggest one, there are two according to me, NU and Muhammadiyah. And in Lombok there is only one served as the biggest, that is NU, Nahdlatul Watan. And next, please. Old era refers to the time when he was okay. Now the presentation of the word. There are in the book there are four kinds of four types of advice. No, it's not type. 4 kinds, because there are different. There are 4 types. Okay, types. Advice. It was published or released in September 1973. Advice released 7 October 1981, and advice released in March 1970s, and advice September 1970s. They are different. They are in one book, but they are in different styles in terms of the presentation. Now, move to let's see. The first advice wasiat 23 September. Kayak super sumar saja. There is no poetic expression there. There is no strong rhyme. There is no. The language is very common. The language is very a daily speaking language, if I may say it like that. Even it is formal language. This is the wasiat or the advice. Move, please. Next. Okay. So it shows that this advice refers to, or directly refers to abituran. Abituran is the fanatic followers of Nahdlatul Maulana Sheikh. Okay, next. And this kind of second advice, 7 October. This is very unique. This is very unique in terms of literary point of view. It was composed each. There are many stanzas. There are many stanzas there, and it was more or less 233 stanzas, and they are consistently composed with a certain rhyme. That is a pattern. However, it looks like pantun, but the pantun is AB. The first two lines refers works as serves as illustration, and the last two lines serve as the message. That is the characteristics of pantun. However, and the rhyme scheme is AB. However, this advice is composed like pantun, but the rhyme is A.
Right.
The rhyme scheme. And rhyme. I mean here is and rhyme. According to me, this is very unique. And these are examples. Okay, that it's composed in Indonesian language, so we can follow, we can understand that. Guci sengenger, berlambang api. Sengenger is something like magic, mantra, if I may say mantra. If I fall in love with someone and I have to say, oh gosh, the time is going up. Now, next. This also advice. Okay, next. That is the example. That is the form. So I focus on the two points of view. We analyze the forms as well as we analyze the contents of the word. So these are the examples, the performance of the word, of the word in terms of the form. I mean, next, please. Now let's move on talking about the content. According to me, based on my understanding on whole work, there are some contents that I may conclude. The first is advice have strong attention to arousing faithfulness to God. Something like kita berada di abad final, di abad Yahin, sudah terkenal iman takwa jangan dijual, jangan digade pada sang dajjal. This advice refers to how to strengthen the faithfulness to God. Next. Next is the advice that discusses the nation, love to nation, or nation state for Indonesia, like aduh sayang pelita NTB bertambah terangnya karena NW lahir padanya, berpartisipasi dengan megahnya membela agama, nusa dan bangsa. Alright, thank you very much. Time is up. Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Nuriadi, and very interesting talk. I proceed to the next speaker is Mr. Muhammad Hamdan Muka.
Okay, please, I have to borrow your laptop. I'm sorry to bother you. Okay, my name is Muhammad Hamdan Mugafi from Master of Literary Studies, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and here I am. I will present to you Indonesian literature and its identity in the mood of the age. It's still a blank here. Okay. First, we have to know where is Indonesian literature among two big continents who define literature, European literature and American literature. Because the long force history of colonialism, Indonesian literature tend to follow genres convention of poetry, prose, and drama from European literature. But there are studies for strip comics and movies. It's like an opening free to following genres convention in American literature, which are here sermons, president speech, and other become American literature genre. By this, we have an open door to imaginary room. This room moving and developing without exact boundaries. We can see the past, beyond the past, and we can see the future and beyond the future by literature, the era of literature and the intellectual current of literature. By this, Theo said that artwork always in the middle of tension between system and reforming, between convention and revolution, between the old and the new. This theory then have to prove what is the literature in the mood of the age. By this, Stokes said that genre is also a narrative category. The boy meets girl structure of the romance is an invariable deep structure of any movie of the genre. And also, Stokes said that genre is also a semiotics category in that there are codes and convention which film of a genre share. We have to understand this semiotics category by Barthes semiotic theory. We know that picture has source of emission, a channel of transmission, a point of reception, and then becoming perfect analogon. A narrative category with the text, and then the text needs the semiotics category to blend to each other. Blending each other with mise en scène. Patrick Paffy said that is a concept essential in judging how the theater is set into play, and to some extent in judging how its very existence plays out. So categories of narrative and category of semiotics become one, blending to each other, become a new literature. So for example, I have to show you what kind of literature. I hope that the voice can hear it to you. From youtube.com, so please make a journey to youtube.com and search and seek Tentang Kita Revolver Project. I'm sorry, I have to stop because the time is very limited. So I have to stop and I have to tell you something in this literature. And please, again, make a journey to youtube.com and seek Tentang Kita Revolver Project. Well, so where is the picture? This stop motion can be able. Why is it like this? I'm sorry. Please make a stop. Okay. This is the perfect analogon that I said to you. Two different types of finger from two different hands, and the background is the light. It's like a Roman pictures with the music of romantic music. And then let's see the text. Lalu kita duduk di kursi yang sama, kau membelai kepalaku, aku beringsut ke ketiakmu. Who is kau? Kau is refers to the man. And who is aku? In this literature, aku is the sacred character. The narrative text looks like romantic story of man and woman, but in short story, the third woman comes and their love story have to end. But the end of this literature, this artwork, this literature work, become like this. This is the story of cat who contemplating the human romantic views. The cat feels the human emotion and then contemplating to see how to love human. This is a new way, the new modern literature, the literature that answering the mood of the age. And by this, I have to make a hierarchy. What the kind of literature is this? This is a blank. Where is the position of literature reformer? I said that kind of literature is literature reformer in the universe of genre. Hierarchy converted from Carolus Linnaeus taxonomy. Maybe someone here know Carolus Linnaeus, the man who find a theory of taxonomy of living thing. But this is in the taxonomy of genres. The domain is literature. There is an old literature and new literature, two kingdoms of literature. Every kingdom has a vice-regent, prince, princess, and many things who have an authority of their territory. So the authority of their the vice-regent, the princess, the prince, it's like oral writing, cross-media, the division of literature in the hierarchy of genre. The cross-media in the old literature, it's from script to the performance, but the literature reformer at first born as cross-media. At first, text, audio, and visual hybridating to each other and becoming the new literature to answer the mood of the age. And then every division have the authority, have to their territory. For example, in the writing, there are poetry, prose, and drama, and then they can choose an order to be high literature or popular literature. Of course, I think that literature reformer can choose to be a high literature or popular literature. But my research just finished to the division of literature reformer. So the other hierarchy is my next, inshallah, it's my next research. And then, for example, there is family, genres, and species. For example, class of prose. To choose a high order in the family of critics novel. So many critics novel, and critics novel have a genres of social classes novel. And then there is species, satire, struggle of class. And then after this, we have to choose the title of the novel. By this, we come to the theory of literary field production from Bourdieu. Bourdieu said that the science of the literary field is a form of analysis science, which establishes that its position, the one which corresponds to a genre, is subjectively defined by the system or distinctive properties, and so on. Okay, look at conventional literature in the mood of the age. And then in the below, we know that the conventional literature have many levels of age, but literature in the mood of the age close with the mood of the age person, the person who understands the mood of the age, the mood of our era now. So the conventional literature have a strong force of history, politics, reliability, but the literature that answering the mood of the age just have the energy of newbies, introduced to literary work. Literature babies in mood of the age. But look at the center, the dot, the right dot, the center dot of globalization, radiate terrains, spiny, so the distance or differences of time can be touching each other, creating future literary work, looking to the past or reverse. In the past, maybe we can say Jules Verne looking to the future to make of science fiction, but today we use science fiction as literature. And the conclusion is, here, literature reformer had been born to literary work. This birth had been followed by rapid growth. As newbie that also had been giving birth to children, 9 years of discussion, but no conclusion. And this is I want to conclude that this is a literature. This research focused on division, a classification genre room with the name of literature reformer in a field of force. It is still in a field of struggle for signing its history. They are spices to cook literature, a creativity without boundaries. Indonesian literature is a creative room that gives workshop to any kind of art. Not just a method to transform text as other form, but united for the whole meaning. Just like globalization era, in the jungle of science, they are united in one room. For example, in Indonesian food, we have so many spices, so many ingredients, and become one in one food that's so tasty. So this is Indonesian literature that's so tasty literature to signing the new world literature. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your laptop.
Yes. Thank you. You stop before I said stop. Let's continue. The next speaker is Ms. Sukani Suryani.
Male and female is not important. Go on. Thank you, Marcus. First of all, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. My first interest, when the first time I read the theme of the conference, is that I remember the thing about what is the appropriate novel. I tried to find a novel that talk about Indonesians among people from various countries and how they interact each other there. And I find that after Umar Khayyam, I found that there are still limited numbers of writers, novelists, who depicts or who tells about how Indonesians among people in international setting. And then I still remember when the first time I found Andrea Hirata, and then I just remember that this is like give me an idea that it reminds me of how Umar Khayyam at that moment. I'm not trying to say that they are in equal positions, but they talk about how Indonesians in international setting. I put it as reading Indonesian in international setting, reading how Indonesian people, if they interact each other in various kinds of relationship, especially relationship with various people from other nations. So the question is about identity. So next slide. I started my introduction by saying that we cannot avoid that Indonesian as part of has part of colonial history in it from 100 years that Dutch superiorly controlled Indonesia, and then colonialism left a mark on colonized society, and the mark can be seen in literature. And for those who are the adherents of sociology of literature, we do believe that literature is the reflection of the society. So through social and cultural setting, we can understand the cultural and social sphere. And this is it sounds that this is an old idea or unconventional idea, but it is true and it applies to this present time. Next slide. So again, I find that Eden Sor, correct me if I'm wrong, or you may give me some suggestions, quite adapting with the newest productions of Indonesian novels. This novel talks about Indonesian people in relationship with other people from other countries, and it represents with the two characters, Ikal and Arai, in this novel, who struggle pursuing their dreams in France. And you may read also. Maybe some of you have already read this novel. and they experience ups and downs of the relationship, and I find that what attracts attention to this novel is two things. The first one is what are the stereotype or stereotypical forms depicted in Edensor, and what is the positions of Andrea Hirata or author in Edensor. For this second question, deep down, I have a hope that this author will sound a kind of a resistance upon what or what we believe as colonial ideas, or a resistance to the design that this is East people. East is like this. So deep down in my heart, I want that the author will reject that. But then I start my analysis. Next slide. I use Barker theory, which talks about national identity, which he says that national identity is imaginative form of identifications with the symbols and discourses of the nation state. So the nation was not a political formation, but also as cultural representation, where the identity is constantly reproduced as a discursive act. So nation state, nationalism, national identity, local identities is kind of collective organizations. According to Stuart Hall, this is a something stable, which is handed down from generations to generations. Next slide. So, colonialism as historical cultural creations, according to the term which is said by Barker, gives birth to post-colonialism. Some of you may understand very well, and I'm a little bit nervous because in my here I find Arif, who are the expert of post-colonialism. I'm trying to understand post-colonialism, Arif. So it is a critical theory that focuses colonial experience from the colonized society's point of view, and something that has concern only with the national culture and the departure after the departure of imperial power. So, but in actual practice, it has to be understood only in relevance to colonialism, myth and history. So, I guess if we study post-colonialisms in the way how it works in literature, then we will find, next slide, the image, how society represents things of the colonizer and the colonized society. So in this case, I took Edward Said's perspective of Orientalism, which presents the contrasting and dichotomous image. The image is West stands for rationality and modernity, East stands for religiousness, West possess the right to conquer, suppress, and rule over East. To understand the national identity, then I find a very old speech by Muhtar Lubis. This is the speech which is me myself as a reader during the whole book. I find that this is not true, but in fact there is no book which try to reject the idea of Muhtar Lubis about Manusia Indonesia in 1977. He said that colonialism gave effect to Indonesian character: hypocrite, weak personality, irresponsible, belief in superstitious, easily missed and admired, creative, artistic, giving priority on harmony, and industrious. So then, next slide. I tried to find the stereotype, which become my first questions upon Edensor. What kind of stereotypes that Andrea Hirata might not aware or conscious that actually he, coming to the second answer, legitimize the idea of being invariant. So although he he write Edensor in a mood of a very light mood. Yeah. But I find that actually there are some profound ideas that is very important that actually represents what Mokhtar Lubis said. So Ikal and Arai as the representation of ease, they are preserved, creative, easily amused, and believe in superstitious. There are so many evidences and proofs that comes up in the novel. So I find that the outer position in Edensor, which looks like seemingly Andrea Hirata tries to present to the reader that Indonesians, young people in international setting is okay, but actually there are some ideas that legitimize that the West is much more superior, and it is obvious stated there in this novel. So Hirata through Edensor once again legitimizes West superiority through the depiction of Ikal and Arai attitude in the midst of international relations. Finally, the conclusion is that so the first one is the characters as individuals who generally do not have difficulties in maintaining relationships, especially in the course of intercultural friendship. It appears that Ikal and Arai have been considered equal by others in their social interaction. So if they interact each other, they are in equal positions. But there are some, deep characters that actually this Ikal and Arai is having this, what is called as Asian characters, according to my theoretical background. So Mokhtar Lubis' perspective, it characterizes Indonesian people as hypocritical, irresponsible, weak. It is not seen in Edensor. The aspect that emerges is to believe in superstitions, and because of the influence of feudalism, there are cultural traits that are easily missed by European or American cultures. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Bernie. This thing just inside. And next is the Nuruddin Al-Akbar. Let's present.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Nuruddin Al-Akbar from Department of Politics and Government, Janmata University. I will present my paper, the topic about Hamka and fluid nationalism. The first, what is the paper about? The study attempt to make a critical reading of Hamka's work titled 4 Months in America, or 4 bulan di Amerika. I believe the reading of Hamka work becomes important amid the strengthening of chauvinism and isolationism discourse among Indonesian society. The discourse encompasses both the academic realm, the emergence of methodological nationalism idea, in theological sphere, the emergence of Islam Nusantara. I have another paper about the Islam Nusantara, and the political sphere, the anti-Chinese, anti-Western, anti-Arab sentiment. And I believe the emergence of the discourse of chauvinism and isolationism cannot be separated from the massive flow of globalization that eventually led to local resistance in the form of a hard nationalism that sees the global world as a source of problem to the Indonesian society, Indonesian people. In contrast to the idea of hard nationalism, Hamka work stand on the idea of fluid nationalism, which is that interaction with other nation and culture is a necessity for the advancement of Indonesian society. The study itself will focus on two subjects. The first study of the Hamka nationalist paradigm based on a concept of cross-cultural fertilization or the idea of the dialogue, the philosophy of dialogue. And secondly, the study seeks to examine how Hamka practice his fluid nationalism paradigm for reading reality, in this case the US culture and society. I believe that the idea about fluid nationalism cannot be separated from the modernist Islamic worldview, not from a vacuum context. The study believes that the idea of alternative nationalism or fluid nationalism is rooted in modernist Islam theology that entered the Nusantara or Indonesian archipelago since the 19th century. In the academic circle, this kind of approach has been developed by Max Weber, who seeks to analyze the relationship between Protestantism and the economic revolution that took place in Europe, the growth of capitalism, from the idea to reality to the economic development. Maybe it's next. Yes. In my paper, I write that Hamka idea of nationalism is based on logic of dialogue, the philosophy of dialogue. A dialogue presupposes the two parties involved in the dialogue. The first, the parties must want to listen the other, and the second, they must give advice to friend of dialogue, so that the dialogue partner also benefit from the dialogue that occurs. So the foundation for the dialogue or fluid nationalism is openness and good heart. Openness was shown by Hamka when he received an invitation from the U.S. government to visit the country, to visit United States within 4 months. Responding to U.S. invitation, Hamka show an open attitude, considering the invitation as an opportunity to learn the positive side of American culture. There are many things in America. Hamka explained in this book. For example, I highlight some of the finding of Hamka. The first is Hamka interpretation about American museum. For example, this Abraham Lincoln Museum. Hamka believes that the existence of museum in America provide important information that the country leader, for example, the Abraham Lincoln, is just ordinary people like most other people. So the museum want to portray that their leader, their American leader, is only human being like us. There's no different with other human being. So American are not afraid to criticize their leader, and American can also dream of being leader. Not only certain elites have the right to occupy that position. And the second about modern American theology. Hamka write about MRA, theology developed by Buchman, a theologian who advocate peace between social class. He believed that there is a positive side of this theology because Buchman hopes that the relation between class is more harmonious, not based on the exploitation of one class on another social class. And the other example, Hamka interpretation about American philosophy. First is about philosophy of transcendentalism. Hamka believes that this philosophy, in a certain degree, can encourage the individual concern for the poor and oppressed people around him. And the second about the pragmatist. Hamka believes that the pragmatist philosophy have a positive side because they prefer action, not only about thinking many ideas. The another interpretation, another positive side of America, according to Hamka, about American figures. For example, Hamka praised Rockefeller, Ford, Carnegie. Hamka believes that this is the another side of capitalism, where some capitalists want to contribute to the progress of their people. It can be said that a kind of moralistic and nationalistic economy. And about tradition, American tradition. Hamka believes that in America there are another positive side. For example, despite entering the industrial phase and the modern era, U.S. society continues to uphold ethic and manner in its various life, from holding spoon to entering public bath. But Hamka not only show the positive side of U.S. because fluid nationalism not only accept the other ideas but also criticize the other culture. In Hamka critical acceptance of U.S. culture, for example, Hamka Hamka says that not everything from America or Europe must be swallowed up. Like, for example, American happy to be naked in front of the other when he or she is in a public bath. And the other about not only about listening the other, but the dialogue is about giving advice to the other side. So here Hamka make a constructive criticism of the United States. For example, Hamka criticism is related to the printing of small book by the World International Center in Washington. This book is a kind of propaganda, U.S. propaganda that portrays that U.S. is trying to build a harmonious relation with various other nations in the world. But there's one thing that disturbed him, Hamka, where in the back of the cover is decorated with three pictures of the great prophet, namely Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. In Islam, the depiction of the picture of Prophet Muhammad is considered taboo. It can be haram act. Hamka suggests that the picture is deleted and replaced by Kaaba picture. According to Hamka, he later learned from the book, from the friend, that the book, when reprinted, choose to delete the image of the prophet and replace with a Kaaba picture. The publisher seems to comply with Hamka advice. This is Hamka critique of U.S. Orientalist look. And the conclusion about the possibility of a fluid nationalism. Not a correct slide, but the conclusion is the possibility of fluid nationalism is, I think, is very important for Indonesia today, because in the presentation I say that now there's growing ideas of isolationism, so it's very important to develop the Hamka ideas in the Indonesian society. I think this is the conclusion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes. And last but not least, will be Mr. Laili.
Itu palsu.
Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everybody. So my presentation is actually a part of a bigger picture. It is written by 3 people actually, but the other 2 are having their own presentation in other rooms, so I'm here.
Have you finished your dissertation?
It is about the portrayal of soft masculinity in online Indonesian fan fictions. So,
How many chapters more?
so for the introduction, so fan fiction. At first, according to Jentin, fan fiction started from TV series printed for inner circle for the fandom, but because of the globalization, so fan fiction is now it is posted online for comment and feedback, and usually the writers also get their own fans for that. And then later, after 1990, when the world knows about K-pop or Korean wave, so fanfiction is also part of marketing strategy, where the entertainment industry in South Korea use fanfiction as a part of attracting people for that. And then later there are websites for fanfiction, so people around the world writing fanfictions about Korea, things like that. And then there are the idols as the characters, the main characters in the stories, becoming what is it? There is a shifting of masculinity. So there is a shifting from traditional masculinity, where usually male are described as not showing emotions. They are strong, they are stoic, things like that. But there are shifting to soft masculinity, where they are softer, and then they can show their emotions and things like that. Next please, thank you. And so here we want to see how do those fanfiction writers portray the characteristic of soft masculinity through the male characteristic in their fanfictions. Next. And then the literature here, the first one is fanfiction. So it is writing about the real idols, but according to the own the fans. So this is the craziest imaginations of idols according to the fans. That's the fan fiction. And then the second one, we also use soft masculinity, which is formed by 3 concepts. The first one is South Korea traditional sunbeam masculinity, which is gentle and cultured male usually. And then there are also 3 characteristics of sunbeam masculinity. The first one is tender charisma, where the male are usually gentle and selfless, and then they are also well-mannered and put their lovers first before them. And then the second one is purity, about the pure and innocent love. So there is something sweet and it is far from sexual tendencies, things like that. And then the third one is politeness, when there are respectful manner and considerate of women's need. And the second one is the pretty boy, Japanese bishonen or the pretty boy. So it is usually the mixture between masculine and feminine features. And then the third one is global metrosexual masculinity, where men are described as those who care about their appearance, things like that. Okay, next. Thank you. So the first fanfiction that we analyze is entitled Kak Jun. It is Kak Juni, sorry. It is taken from Icon boy band. So from here we can see that the story is a romance story. It is about a female character who tried to approach Kak Juni, the senior, in so many annoying ways. And here we can see that the major and the minor characteristics, the characters tends to shows about the tender charismas and then also the purity there. And then the next one. Next. The tender charisma here are shown as the well-mannered gentleman who puts the female characters first. It is shown from the narrative, and then also from the dialogues found there. And the next. And there are also pure innocent relationships and love, so there are no sexual tendencies in the fanfiction. And then the next one, the second fanfiction is entitled Perfect Classmates, also from Icon. Okay. So it is about 20 perfect human beings gathered in one class and then they fall in love with each other. So there are over there. Okay, so there are also the male and female the main characters and also the other characters are showing the soft masculinity also. Okay, next. And aside from the tender charisma and then things like that, they also show about the other part of masculinity, which is the pretty face, things like that. And then next slide, please. And then they're also well-mannered and thoughtful, and then pure and innocent relationships. And then next. And then the third one is desire. It is from boy band EXO. And then so they show tender charisma and politeness. The tender charisma can be shown by the tender exterior and strong inner will, means that they can show their feeling, they can cry, things like that, that they also have their strong inner will. And then they put the female character first, and then they also well-mannered and thoughtful. It is different from the traditional masculinity. And then the next one, Sunrise Died, major and minor characters, also showing the tender charisma and purity, tender exterior and strong inner will, and pure and innocent relationship as Christ, like that. So from there, next. And this is the last one, Ketika Ali. So the characters there, even the major and the minor character, put of the female. And then they also shows the pure and innocent relationships. And then the next one. So the conclusion here is the soft masculinity are applied for all male characters, whether they are the main characters or not the main characters, and as the portrayal of the ideal type of man. Although in the beginning sometimes the characters are shown as the cruel people or things like that, but later they will change the characteristics of the characters themselves. And then also the South Korea's traditional zombie masculinity concept is the one that is described the most, since the readers already know about the idols described as the characters. Other aspects of soft masculinity are not really described in the fanfictions. So since it is about the craziest imagination of the of the fan. So this is usually the characteristics that are changed or things like that. While for the exterior, for the face and things like that, I think all the reader already knows about that one. Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, many thanks. Now, we have to the speakers, very interesting and also, well, challenging topics. But then now we come to the questions and answers, comments, and from the audience, but also speakers can give comment to each other, right? If you get interested to your colleagues'
The
topics.
moderator can ask.
Yeah.
The moderator can asking question.
The moderator will play the intermediary role.
After I moderate,
But would you have questions? Right? Discuss. Yes.
reverse.
Yes, okay. Just
Yeah.
take a shot and direct
The
to
first-
designated.
My first question is goes to the first presenters. Is this your interpretation or the impression of the local people? Because a lot of name places in Yogyakarta like Irung Petro, Bokong Semar, Helm Cakil, Helm Cakil, all using public properties. Yeah, but usually this metaphor is only related to the physical characters of the objects. So what Semar is only the forms and the colors, maybe not until not until the philosophy lies behind that metaphors. So I worry about your interpretation is too deep, too deep, because the local peoples only related to Batu Semar, Irung Petro, etc. Just only the physical appearance of that place. Irung Petro, Bokong Semar, what else? Yeah. Watu Gajah, Watu Dodol, Watu Dodol is just only the physical appearance, related to the place. You understand? No. My second question is to the second presenters. I'm not quite agree with your statement that in Lombok you can find Bali, you can find Lombok, Even in here, I can show you there's a lot of Lombok, symbols, to find here, As long as you pay me, I want to bring you at restaurant Ayam Taliwang. As long you can pay me. So in Bali, there's also a lot of ayam taliwang warung situ. We can also find a lot of Lombok, symbols. Are you from Lombok or America?
Yes, I am.
From Lombok.
I am indigenous person.
Yeah. Because I
Like you are coming from Bali. You are coming from Bali.
I think you are from America because Lombok is Chile, Chile, is that? And the other Surianing sing maybe. I only see that in that novel. I didn't read the novels. Yeah. I only found the characters is just only the protagonist. The protagonist, Eikal. As Andrea also use antagonists, in this novel, So to unclash the different ideas between the local ideas and the foreign ideas, foreign stereotypes, as you call. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. You are from Chile.
Mexico.
Okay, there's a chance to answer.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your question. Here is not my interpretation. I drew this in field studies. I come to Samorijo village. I met the head of the village named Eko Prasetyono. He also had a recipient of Adipati Onum honorary degree from Keraton Solo, and I asked and like what head around to the people. And this myth is start from what I said, Babat Alas. There's also founding father itu Bahromorejo. When the founding they established the village, the stone is already there. The myth is come from this the first inhabitant in this village, and later it inherited to cultural events like that. Then also cultural event in the back of the early era of the village, like Gembrekan, this like Selamatan, Friday, Thanksgiving, and also there are habits every day when they pass by the stone, they will give like snacks, market snack like lepet, putu ayu, something like that. Then this habit and this cultural event like is continued to strengthen this myth to another generation because of this. And after the movement, they do another event like 5S, sell some Sedulur Sambang Selo Semar, this event with a series of event in Pakormatan Ulun Solo. There is their showcase of Japanese culture in Samorijo village, and of course this is what I present here. I just want to show that the people there, since the movement of this Watu Semar is really like lost one of their relatives, their own dulur. They're really sad because of this movement, and they can voice with it. And I'm really interested why they do have that feeling. So I came to the village and also asked about the myth itself. And when I asked about everything like why you said like why do you believe the natural disaster because of the movement, something like that, their thinking really tend to be mystical rather than logical. Yeah, because Basamar they don't want to the movement, something like that.
I want to add that Mbah Semar is not a sub. You said it is a suffix. No, it's not suffix, but it's honorifics. Mbah.
I say prefix. Or maybe I'm not a
Not
literary.
prefix.
Yeah.
I'm linguistic.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's honorifics.
Yes. Honorifics.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Putu Wiana. I know your name is very popular in Mataram.
Yeah.
Frankly speaking, I tell you the truth because Prof. Putu, Prof. Mahsun is my college.
Yeah.
Is my college and University of Mataram. So I often heard your name.
Yeah.
Even when I was in S1 degree Sastra English here, I start knowing you, but you did not know me.
Pretend.
And once I remember when I when I submitted my dissertation in the secretariat, another building, the second floor, and I submitted my dissertation, and you came in and you spontaneously commented to my dissertation. What a very thick dissertation this is, you said. Where are you coming from? What study program you are coming from? You asked me, and I said I come from American Studies. Oh, American Studies. I still remember the way you answer. Okay, it means that was you are very memorable to me, Prof. Although you do not know me. Talking about your objection to my statement. This statement does not belong to me, frankly speaking. It belongs to a tourist, an Australian tourist, once said when we got a chat. Once upon a time, I do not know the year and the month, and we talk much about Lombok, and we talk much about Bali, and he often visited Bali, he said. And then we made a correspondence afterward because he went home to Australia and he sent me a letter. And one of the statements from his letter saying, you may see Lombok, you may never see Bali in Lombok. You may never see Lombok in Bali, but you may see Bali in Lombok, he said. I do not know whether this is a personal opinion or a popular opinion coming from visitors. But as indigenous person of Lombok Island, I do appreciate it, what he said, because I was proud of living in Lombok Island. The same as you, the same with you when you are talking about Bali, you are very proud of, I'm sure. So, but I'm not. But frankly speaking, objectively, yes, I do agree with you. Bali is much better compared to that Lombok is, in terms of many things, including tourism. So, most of foreign people might really know Bali instead of Indonesia. Some other people say because Bali is more popular than Indonesia. It's a very surprise. Therefore, I do agree with you. This is not a very serious thing, sir. This is not a very serious thing. But this is the way I promote my indigenous place. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Dave, and yes. And then second will be Dave.
My first question is to Mohammed. My question is about the mood of the age. So you spoke about, you gave an example of, on YouTube, an example of a piece of literature that reflects the mood of the age. The question is, what is the mood of the age? My second question is to Ruangan, about the field of nationalism. So you spoke about contents of Humphrey's work, Mbak Bulan di Amerika Serikat, which was, I really enjoyed the analysis. But how was that book received? How was that book received in Indonesia? Bagaimana tanggapan orang Indonesia sendiri tentang
Rahayu.
sorry,
Yeah, sudah.
I got the wrong.
Yeah. So you are right.
Yeah, sorry.
Before we move on with the answer from Pak Nuruddin, I would like to answer from Prof. Putu's questions about the antagonists. This is a very good question because I know that if we come to the understanding if the characters of protagonists like this, it is because it is developed or it is formed by the interaction with the antagonist characters. For example, if I say that Ikal and Arai is kind of preserved characters or having preserved personality, it is because there are some incidents or there are some incidents in the story which leads me to the idea that they are preserved because of the interaction. So, for example, like when the first time Ikal and Arai come to Skipol airport, and then they go to their apartment, and then they meet Simon van der Waal, who is the manager of the apartment. And in fact, Ikal and Arai do not fulfill the requirements for staying in the apartment. So Simon said, "No way, you cannot go into this or stay into this apartment. Rule is a rule." So this is I find, and then okay, they understand that they do not follow this rule, and then they go out the whole night. While at that moment it is in a winter season, so this is also kind of the antagonist side that will give me an idea that Ikal and Arai having these preserved characters, these preserved characters, has industrious characters. They do not easily give up. So
there are many antagonists.
Yeah, there are many antagonists.
Not like Datu Maridi and Samsul Bakris.
Yeah, you're right. But the interesting thing is that every time Andrea Hirata describe about the other character from the other nations, he always put positive adjective in it. So always in a good side. That's very obvious in his novels. I will read you some lines. For example, aku takjub dengan gadis Belanda ini. Tak sedikit pun ia kedinginan. Tak heran, company bisa menjajah kita sampai Karatan. Dari Central Station Amsterdam, kami naik kereta menuju Brussel. Dalam sekejap kami akrab dengan Famke. Ia tak berhenti bicara dan kami tak berkedip menatap kecantikannya. Banyak lagi. There are many other statements. Like when he saw that the group of students from British, they put the Brits and they admire these British students. Andrea Hirata said, ini tak lain produk sekolah yang membiasakan mereka berbeda pendapat secara positif sejak usia dini. So there are many positive descriptions which is used by Hiratas, and this is explicitly there. While he depicts us, Indonesia, India, Mexico, Georgia, we are the pathetic four. Even he labeled the pathetic four. Sisanya selalu terlambat, berantakan, tergopoh-gopoh adalah the pathetic four. 4 makhluk menyedihkan, penghuni jajaran paling depan. Jika dosen menjelaskan, mereka berulang kali bertanya soal remeh-temeh sampai menjengkelkan. Anak ini melengkapi diri dengan perekam agar petuah dosen dapat diputar ulang lagi di rumah. Norak dan repot sekali. Beginilah akibat penguasaan bahasa asing ilmiah yang memalukan dan efek gizi buruk masa balita. So I find that this description is never friendly about themselves. Thank you.
Interesting. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. Okay, this phrase I borrowed from Bourdieu. Bourdieu used mood of the age on his theory. So the example of mood of the age, for example, in the history of modernism, in the history of Renaissance, in the history of romantics, and in the history of industry, every age has their current age, have their intellectual current. So, in this mood of the age, I think that the advancement of technology and information is the mode of the age. So when I show to you all about the new literature that using the mode of the age, using the advancement of technology and information, it's the literature that using mode of the age. I think like that. And maybe I still don't put in this paper the complicity of mode of the age. So maybe I will complete it in the revision. Thank you very much.
Is there any responses to? I think yes.
Thank you for the question about what Indonesian think about the novel of Hamka. The first, this novel, not novel, this book, 4 bulan di Amerika, volume in America is an old book. It published, I think, in 1950, in the era of Soekarno.
Before.
Before Soekarno, before the
Yes.
guided democracy. But now this book is reprinted, republished by one of the popular Islamic publisher, Gema Insani Press, in this year, I think. If not in 2000 and if not in last year, in this year. But at 1950, when Hamka still lived, I think Hamka not only write a book, but he also deliver a speech about this this adventure in America, because he is a popular dai, popular preacher, popular Islamic preacher at Indonesia at this time, and many people follow his teaching. I think at this time maybe there's no concrete data, there's no, but I think many people believe that what Hamka said is very influence for them. Thank you.
Okay. We still have 5 minutes and for the last questions.
Thank you, Brother. My name is Rizal, and I want to address a question to Mas Nurudin dan Bu Suparni. I think the question will be a bit the same, because I want to ask about the sentence of Indonesian literature, particularly Hamkas and Anehratas. But I think I see a different thing between the two authors. In Hamka, he promotes the idea of Sweet nationalism, which I think the acceptance of the idea is not really good in Indonesia, because I believe that Indonesia itself have like in your terms hard nationalism here. Indonesia wants to define themselves as a nation without, I think, without the influence of other ideology of other nations. However, in Anehirata's novel, he promotes in the novel like inferiority complex, between Indonesian and to the culture of Korean culture. I don't know. I see that the acceptance of the Hirata's inferiority complex is very well acceptable. Like for example, he has like 3 novels, and I think in this series, in Maskapani series, he really promotes that, inferiority complex, and it is reproduced by another novel, like for example, Belok Kanan Barcelona or Assalamualaikum Beijing or something like that. And I think there's a lot of number of that kind of novel. So maybe you can give comment about why the acceptance is very different between the 2 authors in Indonesian society. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, first one.
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by. Are you?
Why that kind of idea can be reproduced massively in other literature? The inferiority.
Do you mean by why this kind of literary works
popular?
is popular.
Yeah.
It is also my questions. I mean, why? I just talked to Ibu Nurlaili. I feel a little bit. What is it called? What is this?
Yeah.
What is this novel? It talks. It seems popular. It gives. It received many appreciations. It has been translated into many foreign languages, but the content is about the inferior things about Indonesians, and I also come up to that kind of questions. And I don't know. Let's share. Let's take a kind of discussion. Why it can be popular? While it talks about something that is
The popularity is influenced by many factors.
yeah, you're right. Media is one of
yeah,
them.
how the writers create their novels, what is imaginations. I think it's very difficult.
But
I can only say that borrowing Bourdieu's theory, there's a place in the field of cultural production. He's a popular figure, so people want to buy his next novel. Everybody loves Laskar Pelangi in Australia. Lots of people have read Laskar Pelangi and watched the film. So there's an expectation that the next novel will be good as well. So I think it's partly his status as a writer. I don't know. I have to be honest, I haven't read his latest novel. I've read Laskar Pelangi, which I really enjoyed. And I said, on my reading list, I'll read his next novel as well, but I haven't got there. Maybe that's my explanation.
yeah, I share the same opinion. So it means there are many factors or aspects that is it the topic about inferiority, but it's still becoming what is it called, popular among the society. Thank you, Pak Agus.
Okay. Still, any other would like to give a response to people question, raise a question.
Maybe on this answer. I think in Hamka era we know another great great novelist Pramudia Anantatur, the enemy of Hamka. His novel is very strong, nationalistic and anti-colonialist tone. I think at that era, I think the idea of nationalism, anti-colonialism is very popular among Indonesians. But maybe Hamka see that if the nationalism going extreme is not good, because we will become like Nazi or Japan, very exclusivist. I think that's my response. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah. Okay. I get a quote from there. Time is up, and we have to stop right now. Is there a coffee break now? Or is it just finished? It's coffee break.
Coffee break.
Okay. Thank you very much for all the speakers, the speakers, and also to all the audience here. Let's give